wants to speak?
Can we check the chat quick, just to make sure?
Oh, thank you for saying that. No, no. It's on there. Anyone else?
Could I have one more comment? I spoke earlier.
Yes, you can come up and speak again, because I know I stopped you from speaking to this. So yes, you can.
You spoke to it already.
Would you just introduce your name and address again, just for the record?
My name is Lester Weber, from 877 150th Avenue in Richmond. I'm in the northeast corner of our district. The only thing I wanted to add is, if this moves forward in any manner, I would strongly suggest that it gets put on voting referendum. This is for the people to vote on, not for a few to make a decision for the many. I don't know what your jobs are, but this is a very important matter. And I really feel if it moves forward, it should go to the vote for the town of St. Louis. That's who it concerns.
If it went to a vote, it would pass.
Anyone else in the town?
Pass.
You already spoken, so you have to wait. I'm sorry.
Right, no.
We go by first come, first served, and if you're gonna come around the second time, you gotta wait till the firsties are all out of the way. So the lady behind you had her hand up, and you wanna hand that off to Chris?
Hello, I live at 385 Humboldt E, Wilton, Wisconsin. I'm against the second amendment to the sanctuary. I have no problem with the Constitution and what it stands for, but I think that it really sends a very unwelcoming message to people who might want to move into this area unless they're really for this sort of thing, but people that are kind of on the fence or are concerned about their safety. I've done some reading about guns and how a lot of the research does not support having guns to defend oneself from violence. That's becoming a bad situation. And I just feel the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is that it just sends a very unwelcoming message. And I agree that this should be something that is voted on by all people in the township rather than just decided by a few.
Anyone else in the town? Yes, sir.
Could you up the volume for us old guys that can't hear?
We couldn't hear a word they said.
I'm really impressed with you can't hear over here, or those guys too.
Should we do that?
Thank you.
Bring your mouth right off.
Good.
Anyone else in the town wish to speak? Anyone else in the town wish to speak? Is there anyone online who wishes to speak?
I wanna speak, but I don't have a pen, so.
Well, there was one back there on the counter.
I got one.
Okay. You can fill it out right there and hand it to Chris.
Sure. So, Aaron Kuzman, 1283, 89th Street, relatively new to St. Joe. And I just want to say that it seems to me like we're looking at this a little bit backwards. Like we're looking at it as saying that we're not going to obey any laws coming down from the top. When our laws are infringed on, they do come from the top. And so this is saying to us, our elected constituents, that you're our last line of defense if something wrong is coming our direction. And I want to also clarify that the sheriff has a sole responsibility to decide the constitutionality, what the federal government is telling him what to do. You have to look at this like a bullseye. We're here asking you people that represent us at higher levels to really represent all of us, instead of thinking that we're trying to change how the Constitution is viewed. We're asking you to stand in the way of anybody that wants to infringe on it. This is your chance to stand in front of all of your constituents and say to them, we will, honor our oath, the same one I did, 10 years, to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States as a whole. That includes the first, second, and everything inside of it, and that's really what this is about. We don't really worry about the Fifth Amendment too much, and that isn't under attack right now. The Second Amendment, the First Amendment, those things are under attack. Individual freedoms are under attack. And it comes from the top down, through mandates, cool little word, but that's how it happened. So that's what we're really asking you to do, is to say, look, we're gonna stand up for you. When the rubber meets the road, we're gonna be there for you. That's what this is all about. It isn't about, we're gonna ignore the federal government. We're gonna hold them to the one human document that protects all of us, which is the Constitution of the United States. So I understand.
Amen. Amen.
No clapping and no amen, you're out the door. And I said this before, and I'll say it again, this is not a public hearing. And I know there's a little speaking out on that one, and I'm just gonna continue. If that happens, the sheriff will escort you out. This is a town board meeting, this is not a rally. Just understand that, we're gonna have peace and decorum here, no matter what. Chris,
So we have one comment form from a Baldwin resident.
so you also have one from the town of Hudson, so let me ask once more online. Is there anyone online from the town of St. Joseph that wishes to speak? Tim
Yeah, this
Nixon?
is Tim Nixon.
Okay,
I'd like
go
to say
ahead.
a word or two.
And Tim, would you please give your address?
Sure. My address is 481 Nelson Farm Lane. Earlier today, I submitted a letter on behalf of myself and two other residents in my neighborhood, one a longtime business owner and another a longtime resident. And our point of view really is kind of summarized by the last speaker. What we're really concerned about is that this is going to send a message that individuals can decide the constitutionality of federal and state laws. It's essentially an invitation to vigilantism. That's not the way our government is set up. It's the judicial branch that decides whether or not a law is constitutional. Okay, the sheriff and law enforcement is charged with executing and enforcing the laws, not deciding constitutionality. And we should be sending that message, especially at a time like this, when people might misinterpret it and think they can violate state or federal laws because of this town resolution. So I think this is a really dangerous thing. I think it's a horrible signal to those outside of the community who might consider living here, visiting here, or even investing in this township. Many of us are concerned about how this might affect our property values, how the overall brand of the town as a peaceful and beautiful place is viewed. So we strongly oppose this, and we really hope you'll take these points of view into consideration. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anyone else online that wishes to speak? Anyone else in the room from the town of St. Joseph that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. We'll let you have your second round.
All right,
You get 1 minute.
thank you, well, it'll take less than that.
Okay.
You know, I heard many people object to this resolution on the fact that, you know, kind of bucks against potential laws that are coming down the line. But you look at what happens with sanctuary cities, right, where illegal immigration law is scoffed at lower levels of government successfully. And I'm not saying that two wrongs make a right. However, for sure, it does appear to be the new normal. And so for that reason, I think that, you know, this is just a carbon copy of the illegal immigration sanctuary cities. Now there's a Second Amendment sanctuary as well. And I think that to be fair to both sides, this should go forward based on that.
Anyone else from the town? All right, Chris.
Scott Miller, 2136, 110 Baldwin.
And you have another one there while we're waiting for you to get across the room? Yes, you have the one from the town of Hudson. Marion, I remember, why don't you come on over and kind of get in place while he's speaking? Go ahead.
All right, Scott Miller, Baldwin. Appreciate the time. As I talked the first meeting and whatnot, and when I talked, this is purely symbolic. And what we as St. Croix County residents and St. Joe's residents are asking is for you guys to have our back on the Second Amendment. Because if you can't have it now, show leadership that you stand behind your Second Amendment. A Second Amendment now, you won't do it when the federal and state government are doing wonky business. And I mentioned then that you guys should take a look at Sheriff Mack's case. One of the points that was made online, if there is a federal or state law that comes down to us here in St. Croix County that goes against the Constitution, our sheriff will hopefully stand up for us. Because he can. If it's unconstitutional, he can stop it. The whole case with Sheriff Mack was all about an unconstitutional law that came down from the federal government, and he stood up as a sheriff and said, this is not gonna happen, and 7 other sheriffs joined him and they won. So, this is really symbolic. We shouldn't have to do this. We're all wasting our time. But our federal government is a train wreck, and if you don't realize that, you're part of the train wreck. And we need you guys to represent us and put the foot down, say it. St. Joe's, St. Croix County is gonna stand for the Second Amendment, and that sends a message to our sheriff, our political officers, elected officials, that if they don't stand for the Second Amendment, that they don't deserve to represent us. Thanks for your time.
And do you have Marion Shaw?
Yes, Marion Shaw, 726 Highway 12.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I was going to read a letter that I sent to all of you this afternoon. If you had a chance to read it, great. I think it would be important that everybody got to read that, so I would invite anybody here that's listening to request that as an open record. And it really points to what is going on here, what your responsibility and duty is. There's a lot of feelings and emotion in this room, and there's a lot of conjecture in the room. A lot of what I heard so far speaking at this microphone has been unfounded and without truth. It's been a lot of feelings and emotion. That's not what we operate under. You operate under an oath with a duty to your taxpayers. This is not a government building, this is the people's building. And statutes are not laws. The Constitution is the law. No law, whether passed at this level or the state level, trumps the law, which is the Constitution. And yes, the sheriff is the primary responsible enforcer for that law. So really what's taking place here is that we're nitpicking different pieces of the supreme law based on emotion and conjecture. And what people are tired of is it being picked apart to pieces. And I'll give an example, because it was mentioned here earlier what your duty is. Your duty is to fulfill your oath. This is a set of silverware. It happens to be plastic. This is a set of keys. This is a cell phone. And this is a bullet. Which does the most damage in this country? And I'll let you choose which of those, because I can tell you, number 1 in the country is this fork and knife. Number 2 are the car keys. This probably follows close behind. But the one that trails everything is this one, because this one only kills emotions that people have. Somebody has to use this wrong, and then they'll die. Somebody needs to use this wrong or they'll die, and somebody will use the phone wrong or they'll die. This can be used wrong as well. So why isn't this board doing its duty and banning these first, banning these second, and banning this third? That's what the problem is with what's going on here.
You can't have the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the 10th, or the 23rd without the second. And that's what we're asking for. Thank you.
Where else are you, Chris?
Lynn Betzel, 706, 159th Street, Robert.
Speak from outside your community. I would just like to remind the board of what was occurring last summer, last May. Riots in Minneapolis, chaos, buildings burning. My friends near Snelling Boulevard with a minivan ready to escape the city. Even us out here across the river thinking, are these rioters gonna come into our community? Have we forgotten? My friend's husband was on the front porch doing duty with his 22, his squirrel shooter. And do we recall that the mayor of Minneapolis was defunding the police, the people who we are trusting to protect us? If our police, if that happened then, who's to say it couldn't happen again? It created a very unsafe situation for all of us, and if we're left defenseless, where does that leave us as citizens? I'd like to, how did we bring peace to the community? How did that come to be? We had to become peacemakers. And that was a show of force by the National Guard, by the police, stopping the riots through a show of force. And once that happened, it stopped. And now we can be in the mode of peacekeepers. And maybe we have forgotten the peacemaking part, or how we keep maintaining the peace. How do we keep it? I'm just asking, pleading this board to please be proactive, be an example to your community, be an example to the county. Because we can go further from here, we can make a statement to the rest, like the other gentleman said, bring this statement up to the authority, the chain. We know you, you're our neighbors, we're neighbors. I'm not a neighbor with the governor. I'm a neighbor with you guys in the same county. We're trusting you, you've been voted in, just like my board as well. I hope you will do and see this from that perspective of the bigger picture of how peace came to our community. Thank you.
Anyone else, Chris?
John Kraft, 1067 80th.
Is he a resident or not?
Robert.
Okay.
Thanks for taking the time and taking the opportunity to speak. So I just want to follow up on a couple of points that Mary Ann. First of all, this should be a slam dunk no-brainer. Every single one of you has already taken this oath. Every single one of you has taken the oath of office to uphold the Constitution that includes the Second Amendment. So this resolution is nothing more than a symbol reaffirming it. It's number one. So the second thing is, this is really designed to be a test for all of us across the county, not just in this township. To see who of our local elected officials are going to vote against it. So when election time goes around next time, we know what to target. There's a lot of silent majority here tonight. Most of these folks have spoken in the last meetings. We just want to see how you vote. So that's all I have to say.
Anyone else, Chris? No more? Anyone else in the room wish to speak? Yes, Dan, did you fill out a form? You'll have to go back and get one, and I'll have you come back up to the microphone as soon as you get it ready. Meanwhile, I'll ask if anyone online wishes to speak. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak?
Hey, this is Jenna Brown, Rolling Hills Trail in St. Joseph's.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Okay, I just want to echo John's sentiments and agree with him wholeheartedly that this isn't about anything other than really how you'll protect our Second Amendment, and that's really how you vote. And they kind of taking a proactive approach should something come down from federal or state levels, which we know could happen. So to me, it's very simple. It's a simple act of what you'll do for us and how you'll act and behave as it relates to our Second Amendment rights. That's it. Thank you.
And you want to talk to the microphones, because you've been introduced.
Janet.
Hi, I'm Janet Williams, 487 Cooper Drive. I'm a resident. Mostly I'd just like to say thank you. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate the time and the junk that you have to deal with. And I'm sorry you have to deal with this at all, but thank you.
Dan Gavin. 555 Perch Lake Road.
Thank you for this time to speak. I am a grandma raising grandchildren in St. Joe's Township. I raised 4 children here. This is my home. These are the people that we elected to represent us here on the council or the town board. And I would just like to ask you to please do the right thing and deny this. We do not need this. We have this Constitution as it stands, very strong. The Second Amendment will not change. I firmly believe that. But what can change is the atmosphere in our town is past. We are living in a time where there is a lot of dissension among us Americans. This is not helpful. My grandchildren need to grow up in a place that's peaceful, that doesn't have these kinds of meetings where we have people from outside of our community coming and trying to influence our elected officials. That is my firm belief that we have a really big job here. We have a job here tonight to deny this, whatever you call a Second Amendment resolution. We do. You have the big responsibility to say no. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir?
Can I speak? Yep.
Yes, you can speak again. No one else has their hand up, you get a second chance. No third.
So, my name is Justin Cruz, I've already spoken tonight, I'm a town resident. What I wanted to emphasize is something that's been said here, is that this is a resolution that has been quoted as being symbolic. So the people who are coming here and saying that this is to defend, it is not enforceable at this level. Meaning that the board that our government is paying for is wasting the time, because this is not of any use at this component. We have no police force, we have no ability to enforce this. What sparked this is troubling, but as a symbolic gesture, it is meaningless, because it will not stop any changes from a state or federal level. The Constitution has upheld for many years. I don't foresee that changing in any specific way. And what I don't understand is, this is not a law, and it is not enforceable. This is a symbolic gesture that is meaningless and wasteful to the town of St. Joseph, and for those of us who pay a lot of taxes to stay here. Thank you.
Anyone else? Chris, you have anyone else over there?
No, ma'am.
Is the board comfortable going to board discussion now? Okay. We will go to board discussion. The comments by the public now end. There will be no more. So we will go to board discussion regarding the Second Amendment resolution. Anyone want to begin?
I defer to you if you want to.
Oh, you can go ahead.
I'll start. I want to thank everyone for coming here. It's my whole deal. If you're part of this town and you have an issue or a passion, you should come to the meeting. Don't just tell the supervisor when you're passing them on the road. This is great. Fantastic. I believe, for me, think Jan said it. We are responsible, I'm not here to voice what Rick thinks, what Rick knows, what Rick feels. I represent the whole town. And from what I've received from the people that have sent me stuff and who are here tonight, even though it goes against what I actually feel is gonna happen, I don't believe there's enough awareness or information out here to understand this resolution. And until that time, I can't be in favor of it. But I do believe there will be a time.
Do you wanna speak to anything?
I'd like to just bring up a comment that was brought up, and I don't have a public record of it. But in order to truly represent each and every one of them, every one of you, because as one vote, none of us sitting here tonight is gonna get that privilege. So if this is what you really believe and you want to spend the tax money to do it, this would be a referendum item. And if that were to happen, each and every one of you would get your say, would get your vote when you came to the polls. And I do feel, I think that probably says it all, and we need to acknowledge that that is truly our number one voice. I have read, let me assure you, every single one of your letters that was submitted. Some of them I read twice because both the chair and our clerk's office forwarded every single one that they received also. So if you were copied on them all, you received them twice, if that's how you addressed your letter. We've all heard all about the things I'm going to say. And I assure you, I too support the Second Amendment. I too support the Constitution. I support your rights to open carry, conceal and carry, gun ownership, an arsenal of bullets to go with it, shooting red squirrels out of the dining room window, your gun sitting on the kitchen counter with the bullets behind the radio. Everyone was quick to tell me whether they had ammunition, guns, where they were at on conceal and carry. And I am very, very confident that if we need to have weapons to defend ourselves in an act of violence, we're in a very good position to do that in this community. So that being said, I'm gonna go back to my same thing that I am going to say a referendum is the only true support, and if that's the route you wanna go, it's gonna come out of the tax it offers, and when that happens, that money comes out of the road budget, it's gonna come out of our fire department budget, it's going to come out of the park budget, because it has to come from someplace. And this is the reality of the position and the place that I sit in today. And again, I thank all of you for taking time to come here tonight. And if in fact that you are so inspired to do so, there's many, many things that are done on a daily basis by volunteers. And there are far too few volunteers to get the job done. So again, thanks to all of you tonight.
Chris, did you wanna say anything? Okay, Darla?
Well, thank you all for coming. I just wanted to start by quoting some news articles from just this past week. In an unprecedented move, that is sure to be challenged in court by gun rights advocates. City leaders in San Jose voted Tuesday to require legal gun owners in the city to pay taxpayers for the public cost incurred by criminal gun violence that would require every gun owner to buy liability insurance coverage for their firearms and to pay a fee to compensate taxpayers for the emergency medical and police responses to gun-related injuries and death. San Jose is a local government municipality just like ours. Some are claiming we will have legal liability if we pass this resolution. That's like saying we will have legal liability for taking an oath to the Constitution. Maybe there should be legal liability for not upholding our oaths to the Constitution. As of June 20th, there are 1,930 counties protected by Second Amendment sanctuary legislation at either the state or county level, representing 61% of 3,141 counties and county equivalents in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Over half of the counties in this country felt their intervention was necessary to protect Second Amendment rights. This is why it is so important for our residents to know where our board stands with respect to Second Amendment rights. Without the Second Amendment, we won't have the rest of the Bill of Rights, especially the First Amendment. The following Wisconsin counties have passed some type of Second Amendment sanctuary resolution: Lafayette, Wood, Dodge, Grant, Sawyer, Washington, Marquette, Waukesha, Oneida, Monroe, Langley, Vilas, Rusk, Washburn, Florence, and Pope. And the Second Amendment sanctuary movement is just getting started. Our goal is to have St. Croix County added to this list. The Town of St. Joseph Board of Supervisors passes resolutions routinely. Passing this resolution will send a message to our county and state legislators that we support their efforts to protect the Second Amendment. Resolutions do not carry legal weight, but they do send a message to whatever or whomever the resolution is addressing. Nothing would change in our town except the assurance that our board would not pass something like San Jose did just last week. Are we sending an unwelcome message? I sure hope so, to the bad guys. As an elected supervisor, I have a duty to bring forth residents' concerns. They have a right to air grievances without fear or retribution or censorship. This is not a frivolous waste of time. Our St. Croix County Sheriff, through his chief deputy, has stated, if the town of St. Joseph wishes to pass or accept this resolution, the sheriff has no objections. Madam Chair asked me at the last board meeting if I would accept the attorney changes to the Town of Baldwin Second Amendment sanctuary resolution that was passed, and my answer is yes. I move to approve the Town of St. Joseph Resolution 2021-14, a resolution of the Town Board of Supervisors supporting residents' constitutional rights under the Second Amendment.
Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. Liz, just so you know,